Welcome to a special episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. We're also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets podcast. I'm here with my good friend and amazing real estate broker, owner, investor out of Kansas City, Logan Freeman. Logan, how you doing today?
Doing great. Red Friday, so we're getting ready to bring the Super Bowl victory back to Kansas City again, my man. So doing wonderful.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with. I think the Chiefs are going to win, but I also can't be. I can't be unfaithful to our 49er fans. And last year, you guys broke our hearts when I was there live at the Super Bowl for 3.5 quarters. I was the happiest, cheering against your fans, and then heartbroken. But that Mahomes and then Andy Reid and the Tyreek Hill and the rest of that gang, they're really an amazing team.
Yeah, man. They're just a lot of fun. They bring a lot of joy to a lot of people. But you got to realize we are going up against the GOAT. We are going up against the one, the only Tom Brady. We've beat him before. We'll beat him again. But mad respect to Tom. I've been writing about him on my blog recently, and I really respect that guy and the way that he brings people up. And look, Tampa Bay was not there last year. It's the same system. It's the same coaches. But he came in and he elevated that team. So they've done a great job, and they took down the Packers. And so I really enjoy just following Tom Brady as well. I can't say I like him just because, all the times he has beat us. But what I can say is I do have respect for him.
Absolutely. Hey, well said. When the leader gets better, everything gets better. And that is certainly what he's been able to do with bringing the leadership to Tampa Bay. That being said, you want to kick us off today? We're doing a kind of a clubhouse switch here, where every other week, Logan will be interviewing me, and then I will be interviewing him. In fact, the last one, you can see that from a week ago, I interviewed Logan on really the top questions to ask of any commercial real estate broker that you're hiring. And so go make sure to check out that one. But in this episode, we're talking about what, Logan?
We are going to talk about the first of 3 secrets to a transformational exit plan. And I'm super stoked to hear your thoughts on that, Brett.
Absolutely. So where would you like to start, Logan?
You know what? Well, first off, maybe you can just give us an idea of what we're exiting from. So I think that's the first piece. The second piece is overarch all 3 expert secrets that we're actually going to be breaking down. And then the one we'll dive in. And I know I got plenty of questions about that. But how about setting the stage first about what a transformational exit actually is?
Absolutely. And so our context here is selling highly appreciated businesses, investment real estate, primary homes. It could also be public stock, private stock. One that's really been in the news lately with us is cryptocurrency. Okay. And so essentially, if you buy something low, let's say you bought a stock for $10 and now that stock is worth $100, right? You have a gain there of about $90. Now let's say you own X amount of shares, and total it's $5 million worth of a stock, right? And you say your basis was 100,000, and now it's $5 million, whatever that number may be. Well, that's a gain. And what happens is the government says, hey, if you sell that and capture that gain and take all of those funds right away, guess what? We want 30 to 50% of that, depending on depreciation recapture, depending on what kind of asset it is, depending on what state you live in, all of these things. And so that's where we're focused like a laser of helping people get a transformational exit plan by deferring the tax and then using the funds for things that they enjoy, right? Like maybe starting another business venture, starting another real estate, investing in another real estate deal, developing real estate. It could be a number of things, or just being passive and just being able to live off the income. So that is the stage. And let me also give a little context as well. This is according to the American Bankers Association. There's about $17 to $20 trillion that's going to pass from one generation to the next in the next 20 years. And this is known as the largest wealth transfer in the history of the planet. So think about that, Logan.
Wow.
Our parents built their wealth for 20, 30, 40 years, right? Blood, sweat, and tears. And that whole generation, it's the largest wealth transfer in the history of the planet. In fact, there's about 77 million baby boomers in the U.S. alone, and there's about 10,000 every single day turning 65. And what are they challenged with, Logan? Well, they're challenged with toilets, trash, liability, eviction control, rent control, highly appreciated assets that they want to sell, that they want to be, enjoy their wealth, spend time with their grandkids, travel, relocate, maybe just sell that business, right? Whatever it
Yep.
might be for them, they have a big, big challenge. And us as investment professionals and real estate professionals and tax professionals, we have an opportunity to help them navigate all of that change.
Absolutely, man. I keep talking to a lot of people about what we're calling the silver tsunami, which is basically, there's more and more people turning that 65 age and above every single day. And so that's been a big piece, is understanding where that wealth is going to go, how to make sure that transfers the right way. And I think that brings me to a question, is an opportunity, right? And for younger folks, maybe 30s, 40s, 50s, to really capitalize on some of these opportunities. So, Brett, I'd be curious, with your involvement in these transformational exit strategies and plans, how do folks find those opportunities to, maybe if somebody's looking to exit, how do they pick up those opportunities? Is there marketplaces for this, or how does that usually work?
Yeah, so the first thing is the strategy and the vision for what they're looking for, right? So we're going to
Yep.
help them map that out. A lot of folks have an idea of what that is, but it's nice to have a guide who has maybe done some deals with similar clients and similar life stages and similar
Absolutely.
amounts of wealth that they've built. And so we're going to help them map out exactly what they want, right? And then try to use the tax laws that are in place, such as IRC 453 or IRC 1031, or maybe
Right.
even a Delaware statutory or an opportunity zone. We're going to try to find out which one of these helps you best reach the vision for your wealth and your life, your lifestyle. So once we've set that stage and help them envision that, we're just going to draw a line down a piece of paper. We're going to say, okay, what strategy gets you to where you want to be right now?
Sure.
Right. And which one is maybe going to help you create and preserve more wealth? Now, there's two reasons to really sell assets, highly appreciated assets, right? Typically, there's the financial reasons. You're going to capture high value. And there's, perhaps even income reasons or lifestyle reasons. And that's really kind of the second thing is kind of your personal reasons, right? It could be a partnership separation. It could be I'm ready to retire. It could be a divorce. It could be death in the family. It could be a number of things. So there's personal and there's financial. And really, we're going to encourage our clients, potential clients, to say, hey, I'm not sure of the personal ones, but those you have to clarify it's a good time, good motivation to sell. And then the financial ones, we're going to kind of model and show you what options you have. And that's really leads into our first secret, which is selling and deferring hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in capital gains tax, how to legally break free from capital gains tax and find freedom to buy and sell your business or property or other highly appreciated asset without ever worrying about the 1031 exchange again.
Ooh.
And I know as commercial real estate brokers, because we both are ourselves, right? Hearing that, we're going, whoa, what do you mean? Don't run away from the 1031, but hear me out here. Hear me out here. A lot of clients, when you relieve that pressure of that 1031,
Mhm.
you can essentially free them up to actually list and sell and do transactions. But remember, the 1031 only applies to investment real estate. In fact,
That's right.
with the Trump recently, a few years ago, when he had his tax overhaul, part of
Mhm.
that was more restrictive. And in fact, the 1031 has been under attack for many years.
Sure.
And essentially, it's been narrowed down to investment property, essentially. Okay. And it's also being challenged right now by potentially the Biden administration to take it away or limit it as well. So realize that the 1031 is only for investment property. Now, how about a high-end primary home? Well, we just did a deal in Palo Alto for $8.3 million for a seller who had a high-end primary home. He lived there since 2006. Remember, 1031 does not work for a primary home, but a deferred sales trust does. So we want to actually bring out those strategies, such as the deferred sales trust, to say, look, well, you can defer hundreds of thousands to millions of tax. Wow, okay. The second one, part of that would be saving a failed 1031 exchange. Okay.
Yes.
So one of the biggest objections a lot of us as commercial real estate brokers receive is, hey, I'd love to sell, but I don't have my 1031 lined up. Or I'd love to sell, but none of these deals make sense. Right. I'm afraid if I get out into my 45-day, window here, I'm going to run out of time. And I'm going to be set in a forced marriage. We call it a shotgun wedding, where you're
Mhm.
getting engaged in 45 days, married in 180. So we want to relieve
That's
that pressure. Yeah, relieve that pressure. And then, by the way, give them time to go back into real estate whenever they want, which is part of that secret, which is buying without having to worry. So any thoughts on that, Logan, so far, or questions?
Yes, I do have a question. So, obviously, in the commercial real estate world, first, I want to make sure that people understand that Brett and I are both real estate brokers. So, somebody that's talking about deferred sales trust, We are real estate brokers. So we have nothing against a 1031 exchange. We are in the business of adding value to our clients, looking at their specific, unique scenarios and figuring out the tools that we have to provide them. And so that's, I think this is very timely and unique that real estate brokers are talking about different types of opportunities, because most of the time, or some of the time, you can get folks really, that in the real estate profession, they're just salespeople, so to speak. And, frankly, that's what we're trying to elevate against. And yes, there are just salespeople, and a lot of them are in the residential side of things, and that's okay. You need those types of folks to do those types of transactions. We're really trying to take a consultative approach and understand what somebody's trying to accomplish. So my first question around this is, deferring those sales or that appreciation and that equity that somebody's got. That's the first secret that we've talked about. But break that down just a little bit more. So somebody that might not understand what a deferred sales trust is and how that affects their unique scenario, because you touched on a chord there, Brett, that I really struck with me is it's not just investment real estate. So this is a huge opportunity for a larger market, I would say, instead of just the niche market of some sort of business or investment property. So let's break down deferred sales trust and actually how we go about taking care of that deferring of those capital gains.
Absolutely. So first of all, deferred sales trust is just an installment sale. A lot of listeners who are listening, it's known as a seller carryback or a land contract, something where essentially the seller becomes the lender in order to make a transaction happen. And this is based upon IRC 453, which is a tax code that goes back to the 1920s. And so your CPA knows about it. You probably know about it. But instead of, let's say I'm buying it from Logan, let's say a $10 million multifamily property. Let's imagine he had no basis and no debt. And I said, Logan, look, you're going to pay about $4 million of tax. Let's say you're in California. You know what? How about this? I'll give you $1 million down. Would you carry a note for $9 million? In that scenario, Logan has become the bank and he's only received $1 million. Well, guess what? The IRS says until and if you receive the cash, you don't owe any tax. It's in a deferral state. Well, he received the $1 million, so he'll pay the tax on that. But the other $9 million is in a deferral state. It's an installment sale. Now, in a traditional installment sale, may pay him back in a few years. Now he's going to pay the tax. Well, the difference here on the deferred sales trust is we say, hey, you know what? Tell the buyer, let's say that's me, come with the full cash payment there, okay? Come with the full $10 million. And instead of Logan financing the buyer, we'll ask Logan to finance the trust. So it's a third party that we introduce here. And Logan, we ask you to carry back 100% financing. So Logan, if you receive back a note for $10 million, a promissory note, and you take a 0 down payment, nothing's in your hands yet, how much tax is due today? Well, the answer is 0, right? You haven't received any. Now, on the other side, the buyer puts the $10 million into the trust. He actually ends up buying it from the trust. So we do it kind of in that exact order. And when we do that, guess what? The smoke clears, buyer is gone, he takes the property, and the money is sitting in this trust. And this is where the blue ocean opens up, Logan, and you mentioned that, right? Because other asset types such as primary homes, again, stock, cryptocurrency, businesses, of course, investment real estate can be put into this trust, all one trust, and just you can kind of consolidate everything. And then you can go out shopping for real estate. But here's the neat part. We call this the Netflix versus the Blockbuster. There's no timing restrictions. See, the Blockbuster is the 1031. You have the 45 180, which often means you're selling high and buying higher, right? And so our parents taught us to sell high and buy low, not sell high and buy higher 180 days later. So in the deferred sales trust, we can sit on the sidelines, which one of the best stories is the Monday morning quarterback talking about the Super Bowl on Sunday. It's a gentleman in Minnesota, okay? And near actually the stadium, he sold a $20 million asset in 2006. Okay, and that property was worth about $20 million. This guy he just loves commercial real estate. He's an amazing person of making money there. And instead of doing a 1031 because he couldn't find it, he used the deferred sales trust for the first time. And then 5 years later, that same property that he sold was foreclosed on. And guess who the bank called? Him, and said, hey, do you want to buy it back? It's in foreclosure. Well, maybe. What's the price? They said, well, 40% less than what you sold it for. He said, that sounds like a pretty good deal. And he used the deferred sales trust money. Again, all tax deferred, by the way, put it into an LLC, and then bought this asset. And when I heard that story, that's when everything changed for him. And that's what we call transformation, right? Transformation is taking time and making it be your friend, not your enemy, right? Transformation is selling high and buying low, right? Transformation is getting on the sidelines, keeping your powder dry and waiting for this market to shift. And so if I can give you unlimited time, unlimited tax deferral, until you, and if you receive the funds, right? Guess what Logan can do? He can diversify, he can get liquid, he can get debt, he can get out of debt, and he can wait. And we believe right now liquidity, diversification, and the ability to buy real estate at optimal timing is transformational for clients. So any questions or thoughts there?
No, I mean, I agree with a lot of those notions that you mentioned. I think that in my mind, at least, where folks get where folks get lost is complexity, right? And that's your expertise, is to make the complex easy to understand. And I love your stories, because they always make these things very real, right? Because you're in there doing them. And the question always becomes to me when we have these sessions is, hey, I haven't really heard of anybody yet doing a deferred sales trust. And I always like to use your story. I steal your story, Brett. And I said, well, have you ever talked to somebody when they did their first 1031 exchange? And I'm like, how did that go? Probably not as smooth as they would have enjoyed, because it was new to them. And you guys have enough experience taking care of these types of transactions and setting these things up for people to be successful. So I don't necessarily have a question on that, other than the fact that
just a thought on that. Yeah, just a thought on that. It's exactly right. When I first did my first 1031 or my first real estate transaction, or the first time I bought a property or bought into a limited partnership, or any of these things where it was a first and there was uncertainty and it took a level of trust and the guide or the person or the partner or the broker, right, to overcome what was called like a false belief, right? It's like, I don't know if you've heard of the story of the 4-minute mile, right? Where for really, there was hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, nobody believed that the 4-minute mile could be broken. Right.
That's right.
And in fact, it was this thing where doctors would say, if you do this, your heart will explode. I mean, they're the medical, the science, everything. And they looked at it, and then finally somebody broke it. And then I think the next 12 months, another 7 people broke it. And so the key is finding that guide who's a few steps ahead of you, who've actually helped their clients close and do either a 1031. It could be cost segregation, could be false beliefs. Of course, the deferred sales trust. Now, the key, of course, is the track record. What's the track record? Well, thousands of closes, 25-year track record, billions under management. Last year alone, over $2 billion gross asset sales have gone to the deferred sales trust. Okay. So our company alone did about 90 million gross sales last year. We just closed a $5 million deal last week in Colorado for a multifamily owner. And they were really trapped because they were frustrated. They're in their 70s. They have a huge estate tax. And in fact, they want to move it outside the taxable estate. So we saved them 40% on the deferred sales trust, which is pretty cool as well. So until you have that guide and until you're working with someone who's closed it, you want to, I guess, reserve judgment, right? Or until you're there. So that's what we would encourage you. Just get educated, find out, and then we want to give them folks that have actually who have actually used the deferred sales trust, right? Who actually are our clients. So those are the key things there.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And the fact that those numbers are staggering, right? I mean, when you look at, and that's just that, I don't know, how large the company is per se, but those numbers are, that's a lot of real estate. Let's just say, that's a lot of real estate.
A lot of real estate, a lot of business sales, a lot of, stock, a lot, so it's there. And exactly right. So we just and the other thing is the IRS audits over a dozen no change IRS audits, no pending litigation, which is very important, right? Because there are some competitors out there that have some pending litigation going on, and you're going to go, and how many audits have they survived, and what are the outcomes? Who did that? So you always want to make sure that whoever's offering you this new, strategy or whatever it might be, who's backing this, right? Who's going to protect me if the IRS? So the DST. Audit defense lifetime, no pending audits. The last one was 2019, no change, no issues. So we're literally batting 1,000. It's like Mahomes, baby. When he has Tyreek Hill, on a post route this Sunday, he's probably hitting him, 100 out of 100 wide open, right? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's probably 99, I'd say. Maybe one time he misses them, but probably 99 out of 100. Here's one question, Brett, is you don't have any pending litigation, but you mentioned there are some, firms out there that do. So maybe where is one of the breakdowns that happened on some of those transactions, or walk us through a kind of a scenario where it wasn't done correctly, or a pitfall that happened in those transactions, and how to avoid those.
Yeah, great question. So one of the ones in particular, it's called a monetized installment sale. And in fact, if you search deferred sales trust, it'll pop. They have a website, and they pop up right, and they say side by side. They say, "Don't use the deferred sales trust. Use us. Here's why." And they're like, "Wow, this looks like it's just like the same thing, but they give all this other flexibility, which is amazing." And the biggest
Right.
thing that we have found when we studied it, and why we don't provide it here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions, is the fact that they say, hey, 93.5% of the funds up front are just here you go. We're going to get this bank to give you all the cash and do whatever you want with it. And we think that's constructive receipt. In fact, part of
Mhm.
what an installment sale, the essence of it is not putting the actual funds in, let's say, Logan's hands. But of course,
Absolutely.
it's attractive to go, oh, I can get all of it up front and I'll just pay this, 6.5% fee at closing. And then I'm just free to go wherever I want. And that's the part where we go, we think that's taxable, actually, Logan, right? Kind of like if you think of like a 401k or an IRA, like, right, what do?
Sure.
You forego taking those funds in your personal account and you put it into this other tool. And until you start receiving payments, do you actually pay tax? Well, that's the same thing with the deferred sales trust.
Right.
We're doing 100% into the trust and not to you. So that the foundation of the structure is what's called constructive receipt. By the way, this is also why the 1031 exchange, to be very cautious. You want to make sure you set that up before close of escrow, because if you
Absolutely.
don't, and escrow accidentally sends the funds to your personal account, guess
Mhm.
what? Game over. It's too late. It's taxable. You can't just send it to a QI company now and say, whoa, I'm still in my 45 days. No, no, no. It's over. You just lost. You've gone down the wrong road there. So the
That's
key
exactly
is
right.
keeping the funds outside of your taxable hands, so it's not constructive receipt. So that's the biggest one there. But again, they I think for farmers it definitely works, right? Because this was set up for farmers. So if you're a farmer, I think it could be a good solution. But most of the commercial real estate owners that I work with and business owners, they're not farmers. I don't know. Maybe in Kansas City, there's a lot of farms out there. There could
There
be,
is.
but you just got to be very cautious. And even more than that is, does the attorney stand behind their work, right?
Mhm.
If you're going to go get ACL surgery, I got two ACL surgeries playing basketball in college, and I asked the surgeon, who's going to, who have you helped? And they go, well, I've helped some of the Sacramento Kings, people like Chris Webber. Oh, okay. Well, if Chris Webber said yes, I'm going to feel pretty good, right?
Absolutely.
So, and you actually did the surgery? Yeah, I actually did the surgery. Okay. So, wasn't an intern? No, it wasn't an intern. Okay. Excellent. So, you want to make sure that professional is rock solid.
Yes, 100%, man. Absolutely agree with that. If it's like the Amazon and Google effect, when they pick a new market to go into and build a new headquarters or a new facility, you just see the spider web effect kind of, on the outskirts of that. All of the real estate around there, businesses start moving there. It's the same thing here. If somebody's already used a certain provider and they did the due diligence to go through that, that's a good indicator that it's a good vendor to work with and a good partner to kind of hang your hat on. So couldn't agree more on that front. Hey, Brett, do you want to tease the second secret really quickly? Because so maybe, do a recap of the first secret. Let's tease the second one, which we will be talking about in 2 weeks. Next week, we have a different topic, but let's go back, recap the first secret of the transformational exit, and tease that second one for everybody.
Excellent. Yeah. So today we just talked about the first secret to a transformational exit plan on the sale of highly appreciated business, real estate, cryptocurrency, or stock. And this first secret was selling and deferring hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in capital gains tax, how to legally break free from capital gains tax and find freedom to buy and sell your business or property, primary home, investment real estate, save if it failed 1031 without ever worrying about a 1031 exchange ever again. So that's the first secret. Now, in 2 weeks, like Logan said, we'll be talking about the second secret, and this is called the optimal timing transformational wealth plan cloning. How to clone a proven wealth plan with capital gains tax solutions in less than 5 hours and become time, energy, and debt free. And then perhaps go find a deal whenever you want, right? Whether that be tomorrow, day 181, or a couple of years from now. So that'll be secret number two. And Logan, how about you tease what we're going to be talking about next week?
Absolutely. So next week, we are going to be talking about the 3 investments to insulate your real estate portfolio from a market downturn and how to think about a 1031 exchange and using a deferred sales trust to accomplish that goal. So again, 3 investments to insulate your real estate portfolio from a market downturn. Brett, with all of the different opportunities, challenges, and concerns in the space, I wanted to kind of bring my thoughts on 2021 and where we see some opportunity to grab some market share and make some sound investment decisions.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm excited about that. Logan, for people who want to get in connect with you right now, what's the best place for them to find you?
Has to be LinkedIn, guys. If you're active on LinkedIn, just search me up on LinkedIn, Logan Freeman on LinkedIn. I'm there every single day, but also over at our website, ftwinvestmentsllc.com. I can be contacted there. We write weekly blogs there as well. If you're on Bigger Pockets, check me out there. I'm a contributor on Bigger Pockets and writing a lot of great articles over there for folks that are interested in the commercial real estate space. How about you, Brent?
Thanks, Logan. Yeah, I can be reached at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can learn about the deferred sales trust and how it compares and contrasts to some of the other tax deferral strategies out there. As well, if you are a business professional, commercial real estate broker syndicator, we just did a strategic alliance with the Joe Fairless, and we're looking to grow that out, as well as we have here with the Logan Freeman out of Kansas City, Mr. Kansas City. You can go to experttaxsecrets.com to learn more about that. That's experttaxsecrets.com. Hey, thanks everyone for listening. We so appreciate you out there. And with that, we are at the top of the hour. Wish everybody a great weekend. And hey, go Tom Brady, go Bucks. What do you think, Logan?
Absolutely, man. I think we're going to bring it home. I'm very excited about it. One thing I did want to tell people too is where we can next week we will actually drop, because we are live streaming this and we're on Clubhouse. So if you want to actually join via a different medium and see Brett and I on camera, we are on camera. We will drop those links into the next graphic that we put up on social media, guys. We want to try to get the word out about 1031 exchanges. So please tell people about this room. We want to grow this room. Brett and I have applied to Clubhouse to own the 1031 exchange room. This is our 4th week consecutive. You only have to do it 3 weeks in a row. We're still learning this platform. So hopefully we can grab this room up. We can continue to grow it and continue to bring you guys value on 1031 exchanges, deferred sales trust, and commercial real estate. So that's it. Go Chiefs. And I'm looking forward to next week, Brett.
Thanks, Logan. Great to see you. See you next week. Bye now.
Okay, guys. Talk to you soon.